Alright, let's get this started, finished, etc. I guess that did it. Sorry. Okay, yeah, that's what it is. Couldn't remember what it is, what it said. If it was hentai, because I try to be careful about showing hentai, because, I don't know, you can't really trust the YouTube overlord, but that's not hentai at all. It's just a late ship. These. Why don't we flip this over to look at what was clearly Virtua Fighter. Excuse me, the animated series. Blu-ray, 28 episodes in standard definition. Now I'm trying to remember if I even got this on DVD. I might have. It's kind of neat. Same underneath the slipcover, but it does look like it's reversible, so do that. Let's do that, because reversible covers are nicer. It's not quite in the sleeve, sorry. Well, there's only 3 of them, so guess we have to spend what little time we can. Virtua Fighter. Next up, we have Slime Diaries. I thought this was a sticker, but it's the Slime Diaries. Complete season. I assume this is all non-story specific stuff, as in, like, you don't watch this to extend the story, but I guess I should double check. You know, my friend that likes reincarnated as slime, he's I would say he's been reluctant to watch this, but I don't know that he understood what I meant when I said they existed. Oh well, figure that out some other time. So you can see this is regions A and B. There's a little bit of plastic that didn't come off there. That's annoying. English dub. Not the English dub is annoying, just the plastic is. Can I get that off? I'm having trouble grasping it. There we go. Go to the floor where I'll never find you again. God, there's more plastic here. And then on the inside we have Rimuru, dutifully reading away. And then last but not least, we have, I'm just trying to read that. This is World Witches Take Off. This is part of the Strike Witches universe. But I haven't seen much. Since what? Did I watch the 2nd season? I think so. It's actually turning out to be pretty good, I thought. You know, still perverted in its way, but interesting things happening. Regions A and B, English dub. So nothing on the inside, single disc, so yeah, given that, this is probably, no, that's 12 episodes. Then again, dubbed. Well, maybe I should be looking at the runtime, but I'll be honest, I'm already tired of standing. Tired, just tired. Alright, here's this week's Blu-ray collection update. Alright. So, let's begin with stuff that I'm watching that's not, like, currently airing. Well, I guess technically that is too, but anyways. So I decided to watch Hortensia Saga. Basically,
there was a funny YouTube clip that I was kind of curious about and decided to watch it. And I gave it 4 episodes. I don't think that's necessarily bad, but it's definitely missing something that can make it very easy for people to lose it. Now, it's still rated pretty high on, not my anime list, but on Crunchyroll. It's like a 4.0, which is still pretty good. But, obviously it's not, I don't know, the high 4s, mid to high 4s, whatever. And I think the main problem with this is, as a story, it's lacking grasp. It's showing interesting things, but it doesn't feel like it's attaching them to our main characters or main characters to them well enough. And in the one scene I saw that was in episode 4, it was just like, okay, that was entertaining, but what they did with it just kind of felt like arbitrary, kinda. Not unexpected, just sort of like, oh, y'all are really going this route. I don't know. The route they went with it doesn't make it feel like I could understand where those other scenes came from. And like I said, the show's setting stuff up. It's like, okay, so there was a issue where this kingdom that normally guarded them was now at war with them. Okay, there's that political intrigue, especially the king has been killed and the princess is obviously joining our main character. What's really confusing is why nobody's seeing through his disguise, especially since he is wearing earrings. It's like, and I don't think she's a girl that identifies as a guy. I think they were doing that just to hide who she was, and it's like, obviously as fucking hell that he's traveling with a girl. Not even an effeminate boy, just obviously girl. And maybe there's some elements of that where it wasn't as bad in the Japanese dub, and in the English dub the audio is a little more, but it's a curiosity, not necessarily bad. But you know, the other thing is it's kind of sets up, oh, and for some reason monsters have started appearing, and they were things out of legends. And I think the problem is, even though it's like introduced, oh, this person has an artifact and all that stuff, it's like, okay, but from the storytelling point of view of our main characters, why should I, the viewing audience, care? Because like, we kind of understand when monsters start appearing and people have to defend towns and stuff like that, that's kind of interesting, but they're not even showing that other than kind of afterthoughts in there. And so it's weird. It's like, it's not attaching us to, okay, these people are fighting monsters, they want to find out why the monsters are there. Or, you know, instead it's kind of, it's almost a tell don't show, or it's a telling instead of showing sort of problem, I guess. It's not showing us, okay, here's how these characters' lives change and why you as the audience would be interested in watching to see what happens from there. If you understand what I mean. It's, again, not bad. It's just, I think some of the way it's presenting it is failing to connect to me. The Eminence in Shadow. So I had originally watched the first 2 episodes of that as they aired, or close to as they aired. And, or maybe I just watched them close to when episode 2 aired and I watched episode 1 and 2. So I originally didn't continue with it because it was leaning way too heavily on a storytelling trope that I actually don't find that entertaining. That would be the idea of, oh, well, our main character is just kind of making shit up as he goes, but he just so happens to be right all the time. And I find that to be a pretty weak storytelling element. Now, there's other anime that kind of use it in this way that almost sounds storytelling. I think Gurren Lagann, like, a friend of mine didn't really like it because of some of that, but I think the difference there is it was about him having the right spirit, and he happens to be in a universe where that right spirit is right. And that's a little different than what's going on here. This is actually more comparable to some of the Floor Guardians mistaking Ainz's plan stuff and his word stuff from Overlord. But I guess the main difference between Overlord and Emissary and Shadow is that Overlord wasn't leaning on it too heavily, such that you would almost need to enjoy it moment to moment. Enjoy that specific aspect of it for moment to moment to enjoy it. And then Emissary and Shadow kind of felt like that through the second episode. Interesting things happened in there, but, you know, it kind of felt that way. And it just fell lower on the priority list and got forgotten. But I've heard, there's a shit ton of advertising now. I've heard one or two people saying that they thought that was actually better. Who did I talk to? It's really strange. Anyways, I guess the point there was I kind of had to pull the exact right information I wanted, which is, did you feel like it got better from episode 2? And they said, yeah, I think so. And yeah, if I'd given it the 3-episode treatment, I might have actually continued watching it, because episode 3 gave me stuff that I felt was more interesting and easier to latch onto than that other stuff. And it's not that some of those elements weren't present before. I guess it just took a while for it to set up the status quo, I guess you could call it. And it was doing funny things with the status quo. So I'm enjoying it, enjoying the characters. Again, I'm 13 episodes in now, so I'm catching up on it. I'm still not sure what all to think about it as a whole, because it feels like there's something off a little bit here and there, but I guess for the most part, really cool things have been happening in there, and they are kind of neat. And while they are a little bit arbitrary, I don't think they're unexpectedly arbitrary. I think they make sense in terms of what they've set up. And so it kind of feels like the series has been walking a fine line in terms of what it's doing. But I think it's been doing it with some pretty good balance, so to speak. So, been enjoying it so far. Probably would have stopped before episode 13 to record this video, because I was trying to look for the end of a core or something, or a story arc. But, let's see, My Hero Academia Season 6, Episode 129. Not the stuff I was wanting it to lead up to, but I thought it was a good episode, just kind of a reminder of just the enormous as fuck emotional impact that this season has been giving us. It's, I still appreciate the season. I still want to see what it's planning to do from here. Next up, so with my friend, we started resuming ReZero Season 2, so we watched episodes 31 to 33. Pretty tough, but pretty standard ReZero stuff. Goodness, not the worst of the worst in terms of what ReZero has to offer. Definitely something where it would be appreciative to have watched more. In my case, it would have been rewatching more, but it's kind of stifling to pause that one. That one it messes with your head. But it's nice. It's definitely nice. Continuing down the list, we have Adventurers Who Don't Believe in Humanity Will Save the World, Episode 7. That one. Okay, it was that. Okay episode, I suppose. Okay, yeah, and it is playing around with what I think is supposed to be the main mechanic a little bit more. And I think it did so. What it did was very interesting. Maybe not the greatest out there, but interesting. Although I don't know what else I can remember to say. Campfire Cooking in Another World with My Absurd Skills, Episode 6. I don't remember if I mentioned this last week, but this week it's definitely 100% solidified. Sweet is the most fucking adorable slime ever, maybe thing ever, I don't know. I really like that character. I want to see more of Sweet. I really like what they're doing with it too. And the series, of course, is fun as well. I like the other characters as well, but Sweet's just kind of started jumping out as hella fucking awesome. Magical Revolution of the Reincarnated Princess and the Genius Young Lady, Episode 7. I guess there's some progress ideas in terms of how it's revolutionary and all that stuff. It's tricky because it almost feels like it doesn't quite take as much advantage of our main character's fun shenanigan personality as it could. But it's doing other things, growing in other directions. It's okay. My Episode 7, I don't remember any individual parts of this episode that jumped out at me as like, holy shit, that's a lot of animation. Instead, it was just one of those episodes where I guess there was just a lot of animations all throughout it. but nothing that jumped out to me as itching that, oh, I've never seen anybody animate that before. What exactly... What was it about? I guess, so one of the problems I mentioned with Onimai is that it as a series doesn't really answer the question of whether the main character thinks of themselves as a guy, or if they think of themselves as a girl but they're resisting it to a certain degree, I suppose. And maybe this episode had a little bit that kind of suggested still feels a little bit like a guy, maybe? Maybe? Not sure. But okay episode, I think. Iceblade Sorcerer shall rule the world. Okay, where they went from where they set up the previous episode, it was fun. But what else did they do with all of it? I can't remember. So, yeah. If I were to say maybe the problem with Iceblade Sorcerer is that it kind of I don't know. Maybe I'm not quite sure what the story is supposed to be, I suppose, the story. So that may be contributing to me not remembering. Farming Life in Another World, Episode 7. Nice episode. You know, it's continuing village building, and I do like how it's village building, and its next degree of village building. It's interesting because I don't remember if I pointed this out last week. I remember thinking about talking about it, I just don't remember if I talked about it. But like, a show like Farming Life in Another World, that's a really good example of soft conflict, but the conflict is still there, but in a form that isn't really aggressive. I'd say it's more, the conflict is, oh, wouldn't it be nice if they had ... So like in first episode you might think, oh, well, if they had food and water and shelter and stuff like that. And, you know, the series continues to move forward because it's built upon ideas like that. And I've definitely continued to enjoy it for the relaxed thing that it is, I suppose. Giant Beasts of Ours, Episode 7. Okay episode. Yeah, I don't know. I guess I definitely hesitate a little bit continuing to watch it. It's never a bad episode when I watch it, but I guess I don't have as strong of a grasp of wanting to see what's going to happen next. There's curiosities that happen in it, but it sort of feels like, again, it just hasn't hooked me in and made me think, oh, I want to see what's next. If you compare and contrast to Farming Life in Another World, obviously, like I said, that one, the conflict is in the form of, oh, wouldn't it be nice if they had ... And one thing I'm worrying about is if they are getting close to saturation of that concept. It's hard to tell. But they've done a good job so far. And Giant Beasts of Ours hasn't been bad up to this point. We get more relevant backstory for our main character in this episode, but and a little sneak peek as to, oh, that's kind of absurd, and that other thing's kind of strange, but I don't know. It feels like there's something missing keeping me permanently hooked in. Fruit of Evolution, Season 2, Episode 6. Okay episode. I guess if you kind of like Fruit of Evolution, you might. If there's any problem with this episode, and it's a problem with the previous episode, it's that it feels like it's too centered on characters other than our main characters. It's characters they introduced for the season, but they came up with an excuse to make our main character absent for the most absurd of reasons, and it feels a little forced in order for them to force something that isn't actually a Fruit of Evolution on us. So they kind of were maybe playing with something else in the series, I guess, conceptually, and then they interrupted that, and so it's been, I'd say, a little bit of a mess. No, nothing that's outright bad and horrible, but definitely the sort of thing that could make certain exhausted people have trouble watching the next episode. I think where this episode ended was fine from a curiosity perspective, but chilling in my 30s after getting fired from the Demon King's army, Episode 7. Let's see. Okay, yeah, because Episode 6 introduced that character, and then Episode 7 got us to see a little bit more of that character, and I'd say it was fairly entertaining stuff and fairly neat for what the show does, and good setup for the next episode, I would say. I'm definitely looking forward to episode 8. I don't know what else to say. The reincarnation of the strongest exorcist in another world, episode 7. Entertaining stuff. If there's one problem with strongest exorcist in another world, it's that our main character is an exorcist, so think of it as like a onmyoji or a talisman wielding person as opposed to a strict magic casting, but they're in a magic casting world. And one of the problems I kind of have with this show is as it goes along, it does get more and more hard to think, how does nobody not notice that he's not using magic for this thing where at best you're supposed to be using magic? So there's a little bit of a disconnect there, but there was a neat scene in this one. Maybe 2 neat scenes. I'm not sure if 3 neat scenes. So there's still neat scenes. There's just that other element of it that's a little off-putting. Maybe not enough to make me not watch it. Let's see. Saving 80,000 gold in another world for my retirement, episode 7. Let's see. What happened? Okay. It was kind of entertaining. I suppose it feels like there's a little bit of an issue where our main character doesn't think of things that are really blatantly obvious and would need to be careful of, I guess. But otherwise, if you enjoyed it from episode 3 or found it to still be watchable from episode 3 on, then I'd say it's still staying about the same. So, normally I would have watched The Misfit of Demon King Academy Season 2, Episode 7, but I think that's actually been delayed. In particular, an update happened on Crunchyroll on the day that it would have come out, but I think it was adding French dub. But then for some reason, even though it used to be very well defined, here's Season 1, here's Season 2, it split to the old style again. I'm not sure what's up with that. And that next episode didn't set up, but when I Googled it, it sounded like Season 2 had some delays and they split it into 2 halves. And so my guess would be Season 2, Episode 7 will probably pick up some other time. A different season? Season. Like, the weather seasons, not season as in the anime season. So, no comments on an Episode 7, because I don't know if there was one. Handyman Saito in Another World, Episode 7. Some nice stuff happened, but I suppose it took what I almost felt was the little conflict it did have and kind of adjusted it. I don't know. It ended at a place that was very okay, I suppose. By the Grace of God, Season 2, Episode 7. We had that. Just seems like if there's any complaint I have about this episode, it's that there's talk about a founding festival for the town where the town celebrates its founding. And our main character is like, oh, well, let's cook fruit from all the different places that we're from because we didn't know about this founding festival because only one employee for this company actually is from this town. And the main problem I have with that is a show could go either way with making that a source of conflict or not a source of conflict. Where it's like, how dare you not celebrate our town's cuisine by bringing cuisine from somewhere else? It's almost like you're saying, your ways are going to die, old man. I could see some people kind of interpreting it that way, and so it would be a source of immediate conflict, but by the grace of the gods just thinks, oh, it's a great idea, so we'll move forward for doing it. And this might not be the first time it's done something like that, but it's the first time I noticed. But the kind of not real conflict that this show's had the whole time is just kind of thing. To Your Eternity, Season 2, Episode 15. So the previous episode ended with something big happening. Episode 15 here, it's kind of still teasing us with that, but it's also teasing us by setting up something else. I'm very curious what's about to happen. want to see the next episode. But, you know, next episode. Well, I could watch the next episode subtitled, but I'll wait for the dub. And then last but not least, Reborn to Master the Blade from Hero King. Sorry, that was weird. That burp wasn't entirely only gaseous. But, yeah. Maybe y'all didn't need to know that. Sorry, I'm sharing on the internet, apparently. Reborn to Master the Blade from Hero King to Extraordinary Squire, Episode 7. It was an okay episode, I think. The action in it was kind of on the side. Not bad. Not the best stuff the show has had to offer, but Jesus Christ, you know, it's had such great stuff so far. I'm not sure how it could continue that up. I don't know. So the fact that there's still action going on in there and it's kind of neat and there's neat stuff is okay. It just sort of feels like our main characters, maybe from a story perspective, almost float through it and it's a little less pushed forward by them. And I guess I felt like I wanted that push, but I understood why it didn't happen. It didn't make sense for it to happen. But there was always room for it to possibly happen. But I also thought that if it did that, it would be, I feel like a cop-out. So I'm glad they didn't cop-out. But yeah. That's all stuff. Holy shit. That's all the anime I watched this week. I don't know if I played any Pokemon. Maybe just a tiny bit. It's already this time, and I guess I'm not doing Animal Crossing this week. I've been keeping up every week, but I'll have to pick up next week because one of my animals has a birthday coming up, and I need to get them their gold rose wreath. But I guess I'm taking a break. And then other than that, there's a little bit of Dead by Daylight in there, but that's pretty low energy, and I don't have a lot of energy to try to do that, so there's not even much of that. So most of my other time not watching all these animes has definitely been being exhausted. I thought there was maybe something else I could mention. I don't know. You know, and you know, sometimes I don't talk about like other things I watch. Like obviously I don't tell you about all the YouTube videos I watch. Who doesn't? You know, probably plenty of people don't. But like I haven't mentioned that. Oh yes, I've been rewatching scenes from Reincarnated as a Sword because I kind of like that show. It was nice. Fran's a good coral and she needs head pats. But I don't know. Hopefully y'all have been having a more energetic week than me. And let's all have a nice week.